There's a fentanyl deal going down today. A place called the Zone of Death.
Rough terrain, two violent gangs.
Let your training day begin.
This unit was forged in the fire.
Marshals, a new era of Yellowstone.
One mission can save him, but the wrong move could destroy everything he has left. After the heartbreaking events of Episode 1, the storm inside Casey is far from over. And in Episode 2, that storm turns into war. Episode 2 of Marshals does not slow down for a second. It opens with tension already in the air because the team is no longer dealing with small criminals. This time, they are going after a powerful drug cartel operating deep in Montana. But this is not just about drugs. This operation feels personal. The same toxic system that killed Monica is connected to larger criminal networks, and Casey knows that if he pulls one thread, the whole web might shake. Casey is different in this episode. In Episode 1, we saw a grieving husband trying to survive his pain. Now, we see a man who has chosen a direction. He has decided that if he cannot protect the person he loved most, he will protect everyone else. But that decision comes with a cost. He is colder, sharper, more alert than ever. Every small detail matters to him. Every sound feels like a threat, and the team can sense it. The Marshals prepare for a major operation targeting a cartel distribution route that runs through rural land. Intelligence suggests that this group is not just moving drugs. They are moving weapons too. And if that is true, this is bigger than anyone expected. Pete Calvin is under pressure from above. His superiors want quick results. No mistakes, no public chaos. But Pete knows something they don't. Casey does not work well when he feels controlled. And right now, Casey is operating on instinct and pain. Andrea becomes more important in this episode. She notices the way Casey studies maps, the way he isolates himself from the team before missions. She is the only one who dares to ask him if he is sleeping at all. He avoids the question, but when she mentions Tate, there is a small shift in his expression. For the first time, Casey admits that he is afraid, not of dying, but of failing his son. He tells Andrea that Tate has already lost too much, and if something happens to him too, there will be nothing left to hold that boy together. This moment is quiet, but powerful. It shows that under all the armor, Casey is still a father trying to survive. Meanwhile, we begin to understand that this cartel is not careless. They are organized, strategic. They change routes often. They use locals as shields. And someone inside law enforcement may be feeding them information. There is a leak. The operation details somehow reach the wrong ears, and when the Marshals move in for what should have been a controlled arrest, they walk straight into an ambush. Gunfire erupts unexpectedly. The suspects were waiting. Miles barely avoids a fatal shot. Belle proves she is not just talk. She handles the chaos with calm precision. Casey moves like a ghost through the smoke, identifying threats before they fully appear. He saves one of the younger deputies without hesitation, but the look in his eyes shows something deeper. He is not just fighting criminals. He is fighting the guilt he carries every day. The operation does not end cleanly. They capture a few low-level members, but the main target escapes. And that failure hits Casey hard, because during the chaos, he notices something disturbing. The cartel members were not surprised by the timing. They were prepared for the exact minute the Marshals arrived. That confirms it. There is definitely a traitor. Back at headquarters, tension fills the room. Pete tries to keep the team focused, but frustration rises. Casey openly questions how the suspects knew. Andrea supports him. Miles is angry. Belle is suspiciously quiet, thinking through every possibility. Trust begins to crack. And when trust cracks inside a tactical team, danger multiplies. At the same time, Tate is shown struggling at school. Other kids whisper about his mother. Some offer sympathy. Others are simply curious. Tate does not know how to respond. He feels anger, but also emptiness. When Casey comes home late that night, exhausted and silent, the distance between father and son feels heavier than ever. Casey tries to speak, but the words don't come easily. Tate finally asks him one painful question. "Are you going to leave too?" And that question shakes Casey more than any gunshot. Episode 2 begins building something much bigger than a single mission. The cartel is powerful. The leak is real. Casey's emotional stability is fragile. And Pete's past may be connected in ways we do not yet understand. because in the final moments of this section, we see Pete alone staring at a file connected to the cartel leader. His expression is not just professional concern, it is personal. The war has officially started. And this time, it is not only about justice. It is about loyalty, family, and the line between revenge and protection. After the failed operation, the air inside the Marshal's office feels heavy. No one says it directly at first, but everyone is thinking the same thing. Someone tipped off the cartel. The ambush was too perfect. The timing was too exact. And Casey knows that kind of precision only happens when the enemy knows your plan. Pete Calvin calls for a closed-door meeting. No phones, no outside contact, just the core team. His voice is calm, but his eyes reveal something else. Pressure. The higher authorities are already asking questions. How did a routine operation turn into chaos? Why did the main target escape? And why are there rumors that the cartel had advanced warning? Casey does not wait. He says it clearly. There's a leak. The room goes silent. Miles looks shocked. Belle crosses her arms, thinking. Andrea watches everyone carefully, not just listening to words, but studying reactions. Because sometimes guilt does not speak. It shows. Pete does not deny the possibility. Instead, he shifts the focus. If there is a leak, it could be someone inside their unit. Or it could be someone higher up feeding information down the chain. That possibility makes everything more dangerous. Because if corruption is rooted deeper than they think, this is not just about one mission, it is about survival. Casey becomes more intense. He starts reviewing every detail from the failed raid, every radio call, every timestamp, every file access log. He notices something strange. The operational map was accessed from an internal terminal just minutes before the mission briefing. But that terminal belongs to someone who was not even assigned to the operation. Andrea steps in to help him dig deeper. She uses her technical skills to trace system activity. And what she finds is troubling. The login credentials were correct. No hacking, no forced entry. It means the person who accessed the file had authorized clearance. That narrows the circle. Meanwhile, tension inside the team grows. Miles becomes defensive. He insists he would never betray the unit. Belle keeps her distance, observing more than speaking. Pete tries to hold the team together, reminding them that suspicion can destroy them faster than bullets. But the truth is already dividing them. Outside the office, the cartel makes its next move. A witness they captured during the raid is found dead in holding, not killed violently, poisoned. Clean, silent, professional. That sends a clear message. The cartel can reach inside federal walls. They are watching, they are listening, and they are not afraid. This death changes everything. Now the leak is not just a theory. It is active and deadly. Casey reacts strongly. He feels responsible. If they had secured the operation properly, that witness might still be alive. The guilt mixes with his grief over Monica. And when grief mixes with anger, it creates something dangerous. Pete notices this shift. He pulls Casey aside and reminds him of something Thomas once told him. You are a protector, not a destroyer. But Casey responds with a cold honesty. Sometimes you have to destroy to protect. That line reveals his inner conflict. He is standing on the edge. One wrong step, and he could cross into a place he cannot return from. At home, the distance with Tate grows more complicated. Tate sees news reports about the cartel violence. He hears whispers about his father being involved in dangerous missions, and fear starts growing inside him. He does not want to lose his father the way he lost his mother. Instead of talking, he withdraws. Casey notices, but he does not know how to fix it. Every time he tries to open up, the words feel weak compared to the weight of reality. Andrea, on the other hand, begins to form a quiet bond with Casey. She challenges him in ways others do not. She asks him if revenge is truly what he wants, or if he is just afraid to sit with his grief. That question hits harder than any accusation. For a moment, Casey does not answer, because deep down, he knows she might be right. Back at headquarters, the investigation into the leak leads to a shocking discovery. Financial records show unusual deposits into the account of a mid-level federal coordinator, someone who had access to mission briefings across multiple units. This person has connections to companies suspected of illegal waste dumping, the same kind of dumping that caused Monica's illness. The connection is no longer coincidence. The cartel, the chemical waste, the corruption, it is all tied together. Pete realizes this is bigger than drug trafficking. This is a network protecting powerful interests. If they expose it, they will not just be fighting criminals in the field. They will be challenging people in high offices. And that kind of enemy does not lose quietly. The section ends with a chilling moment. Casey receives an anonymous message on a secure line. No number, no trace. Just a simple sentence: "Stop digging or your son is next." This is no longer just professional. It is personal. And now Casey must make a choice: pull back to protect Tate, or move forward and risk everything. The enemy has shown its hand, and the real battle is only beginning. That anonymous message changes everything. "Stop digging, or your son is next." Casey reads it again and again, his jaw tightening, his breathing slowing instead of speeding up. That is what makes him dangerous. When others panic, he becomes still. But inside, the fear is real. Not for himself. Never for himself. For Tate. He does not tell the whole team immediately. Instead, he goes straight into Pete. No anger, no shouting, just controlled intensity. Pete understands right away. This is escalation. The cartel, or whoever is backing them, now knows where to strike. Not on the battlefield. At home. Pete insists on placing protective surveillance around Tate without making it obvious. The last thing they want is to scare the boy. But Casey knows Tate is not a child anymore. He has already seen too much. He will notice. Meanwhile, Andrea continues tracing the financial lead they discovered. The federal coordinator receiving suspicious deposits is not just corrupt. He is deeply connected to corporate contractors operating near native land, companies that were previously accused of illegal chemical dumping. The same toxins that caused Monica's cancer. The deeper they look, the clearer the pattern becomes. The cartel is not just selling drugs. They are protecting a system that silences communities, removes obstacles, and pays anyone willing to look the other way. And now, the Marshals are becoming obstacles. Miles grows increasingly restless. He wants direct action. He believes the best way to stop the threat against Tate is to strike fast and hard against the cartel's known locations. Belle disagrees. She argues that if they move emotionally, they will walk into another trap. The disagreement creates friction inside the team. For the first time, their unity feels fragile. Casey listens to both sides but says very little. His focus shifts to something else: the pattern of communication. He begins analyzing how the threat message reached him. It was sent through a secure channel that only a few people even know exists. That means the leak is closer than they thought. Possibly someone with direct access to Casey's operational profile. Andrea helps him isolate system pings and unusual data routing. After hours of work, they uncover something chilling. The breach originated from inside a federal building they trust. Not from the field, not from an outside hack, from within their own infrastructure. Pete makes a difficult decision. They cannot confront the suspected coordinator openly yet. If they alert him, he will erase evidence and disappear. Instead, they plan a quiet counter-operation. They will feed controlled, false information into the system and see where it travels. A trap for the traitor. But while they prepare this strategic move, the cartel makes another play. Tate is followed after school. Not attacked, not approached. Just followed. A dark vehicle at a distance. Slow. Watching. The message is clear. They can reach him anytime. Tate notices. He does not say anything immediately, but when Casey returns home, he sees it in his son's eyes. Fear mixed with anger. This time, Tate speaks first. He asks if his mother died because of bad people like this. Casey freezes. He wants to protect his son from the truth, but lies would only break trust further. So he nods. And that silent confirmation changes something inside Tate. Instead of pulling away, Tate steps closer. He tells his father he does not want him to quit. He does not want him to hide. He just wants him to win. That moment hits Casey harder than any threat. Because now this is not just about revenge or justice. It is about proving to his son that darkness does not always win. Back at headquarters, the trap is set. They leak false intel about a high-value transfer route supposedly discovered near an abandoned industrial site. Only a handful of officials have access to this specific detail. If the cartel responds, they will know exactly who betrayed them. The response comes faster than expected. Before the Marshals even mobilize, the industrial site explodes in flames. Not because of a transfer, because someone planted evidence there to erase something hidden beneath. Barrels of toxic waste buried years ago. The cartel did not just react to the false intel, they tried to destroy proof. And that tells Casey something critical. The corporate dumping and the cartel operations are directly linked. The corruption is not accidental, it is coordinated. Pete realizes they are standing at the edge of something massive. If they expose this connection, powerful figures will fall. But powerful figures do not fall quietly. The team regroups after the explosion. Tension is high, but now they share a common clarity. This is bigger than internal betrayal. This is systemic corruption. And if they hesitate, more families will suffer the way Casey's did. Andrea confronts Casey privately. She tells him that he cannot carry this alone, that if he isolates himself again, he will make mistakes. Casey finally opens up. Not fully, but enough. He admits that part of him wants the enemy to come close, because then he would have an excuse to end it permanently. Andrea warns him that crossing that line will cost him everything, including Tate. That warning lingers. The section ends with confirmation of the trap's success. Digital tracking reveals that the false intel was accessed and forwarded by the exact federal coordinator they suspected. Proof, solid and undeniable. But just as they secure the evidence, news breaks that the coordinator has disappeared. Not arrested, not suspended, gone. Which means someone tipped him off. And that means the leak is still active. The circle of trust shrinks again. The enemy is not just reacting anymore. They are staying one step ahead. And Casey is running out of patience. The disappearance of the federal coordinator confirms their worst fear. Corruption goes higher than they imagined. Someone powerful helped him escape. Someone with authority strong enough to block warrants and erase surveillance trails. This is no longer just a mission. This is a silent war against people who wear suits instead of masks. Pete receives a direct call from Washington. The message is clear and cold. Stand down. The case is being reassigned. They are told to focus only on cartel activity, not corporate connections, not environmental crimes, and absolutely not internal investigations. It is a warning disguised as an order. But Casey hears something different. He hears fear. If they are being told to stop digging, it means they are close to something explosive. The team gathers again, but this time the energy is different. It is not confusion. It is resolve. Miles is ready to move without permission. Belle, who has stayed cautious until now, finally speaks openly. If they follow orders blindly, more innocent people will die. Andrea presents the financial chain she has completed. The money flows from shell companies to corporate contractors, then into cartel distribution routes. It is a closed circle of profit built on poison and silence. Pete faces the hardest decision of his career. Follow orders and protect his badge, or protect the truth. He looks at Casey and sees a man who has already lost everything that mattered. And maybe that is what makes Casey fearless. Instead of shutting the operation down, Pete makes a quiet move. Off the books. No official authorization. If they succeed, no one will complain. If they fail, they stand alone. Their target is no longer just cartel soldiers. It is the mid-level cartel leader coordinating shipments across Montana. Intelligence suggests he is meeting with a corporate intermediary at a private airstrip outside the city. If they can intercept that meeting and capture both men together, they will have proof of the connection. But the risk is enormous. If internal corruption is still active, the moment they mobilize, someone could warn the targets again. This time, Casey changes the strategy. He divides the team into smaller, independent units. No full plan shared with everyone, only essential details given at the last second. Even Pete does not know every move. It is the only way to minimize exposure. Andrea notices the shift. Casey is thinking like a soldier in hostile territory. Trust no one completely. Move fast, strike hard. As the operation begins, tension rises with every mile. No radio chatter unless necessary, no digital trail. Miles and Bell take the perimeter. Pete monitors movement from a distance. Casey and Andrea move closer to the hangar where the meeting is set to happen. Inside, they confirm the worst. The cartel leader is not just negotiating, he is laughing with the corporate intermediary. Comfortable, confident, untouchable. Documents exchange hands. Large containers are prepared for shipment. And based on visible markings, they are not drugs. They are hazardous materials. The same poison that killed Monica. Casey feels the anger rise, but this time it is controlled, focused. He signals the team. The takedown is fast and precise. No chaos like before. No warning shots. Within seconds, the perimeter collapses around the targets. Miles intercepts armed guards. Bell disarms a lookout attempting to flee. Pete blocks the runway, preventing escape. Casey reaches the cartel leader face to face. There is no shouting, no dramatic,